So I want to thank you guys for joining us. 2020 Student Travel Q&A. My name is Jessie Wachter. I'm one of the global programs advisors for Rustic Pathways. I've been with Rustic for more than 10 years now, and I'm formerly the director of our Tanzania program. So those programs are always near and dear to my heart, but I have led programs in more than 10 countries for Rustic, and I'm happy to help with any questions that come up. Feel free to use the little question and answer box. I actually have one of my colleagues, Emily, behind the scenes. She's going to be answering some questions in text, and if it's something that's applicable to the whole presentation, then she will send it over to me and I can answer that live. So feel free to use that box, and we'll also have some time at the end of the presentation for questions. Just to kind of give you a little rundown of what to expect as we go through the presentation. If you're brand new to Rustic Pathways, I always like to give a little bit of an introduction to what we are, who we are, what we do. We'll go over the early enrollment info, which we are now currently in our early enrollment season, what's new for 2020 in spring and summer, and then how to enroll, and then again that time at the end for questions. So thanks again for joining us today. First, impact, experience, and safety. So one of the biggest questions, most common questions, and I think one of the best questions to ask as you're starting to look into student travel organizations is what makes you different. And one of the things I'm going to do on this during this presentation is give you a little bit of website navigation to give you some tools and resources that we have as you start this research and start to compare us to other companies. I think it's excellent. If you're tuning in now, then you must be doing your research about a year ahead of time, so you're on the ball. I do want to show you, if you navigate over to our website here, this is our main website, and then if you go to the menu in the top right corner, it's going to give you this link right here. Inside Rustic has a lot of really great information about our team, the impact we have, safety, and we'll get to that later in the presentation, but I'm just going to pop over here since I've got it already up. And three of the best ways that we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the companies, in my opinion, and I've been here for a while, is experience, safety, and the impact that we have both on our global communities and the students that are traveling with us. I really recommend checking out this page in particular and reading through the bunch of links that you can click through. The experience Rustic Pathways, right now we have programs about 17 different countries, nearly 100 programs to choose from, and we've been around in operation for about 36 years now, about 37 going on. So we've been around for a long time. We have put a lot of time into developing these programs to really impact the students that we have traveling with us, both middle school, high school, and college age students, as well as, of course, the global communities that we are working with. And we do have dedicated service directors, dedicated safety and risk management directors, people who actually go out into the world and audit our programs and make sure that we are holding true to our mission, vision, and values that we extol on the website. So definitely take a look at these pages. We have a ton of experience in this world. We have about nearly 100 programs, as I mentioned, and about 75 to 80% of those programs have a service component to them. So we do focus on about 5 different types of service. It can be animal conservation, environmental conservation, infrastructure development, education, and human initiatives. So those are kind of some of the things that we look into, and we try to have a program that fits every student's interests. One of the things that I'm actually most proud of, it's been something we've been working on the past several years, is we worked in partnership with a couple of doctoral students, amazing students, who were tracking the impact that these volunteer and service opportunities have on our students. They will actually send a survey before the student travels. As soon as the student returns and kind of learn more information about what they feel that they learned during their trip and how they grew as a human being, as a global citizen. And then again, a year later, they'll survey them again and kind of, again, looking at the impact that our programs have over time and our students. And this is some information about this, kind of a brief little blurb here, this paragraph, but also, again, quite a few links that you can click into, including our impact report and reading more about the number of service hours that our students have done each year, and then looking at the different student learning outcomes. We have 10 different learning outcomes, including grit and confidence and humility and things like that, that students, we have found, tend to get when they're traveling abroad and doing these types of programs where they're actually getting to interact with the local community and take on challenges and think outside the box and all that kind of thing. So I think another question that a lot of parents ask me is, why should I let my student travel? Maybe your student found this program in a catalog, or that we had a visitor at their school, and you want to know, like, well, how is this better than just a family vacation? And I think there's obviously a lot of value you can get out of a family vacation, but for students to go off and be with their peers and be independent and outside of their family structure for the first time, and sort of venturing out, again, outside their comfort zone and trying new things, all of that can have, worlds and worlds of benefits for students that you can't even really appreciate until they come back and just are sharing all these stories and stuff. It's really fun to hear. As a side note, my team is actually currently contacting all of the alumni that are currently returning from programs from this past summer, and it's really heartwarming to hear all these stories that students and parents are telling. So another really great resource there. And then finally, safety. As I mentioned, we have a dedicated safety and risk management director. In fact, we have a whole team in place for emergencies. We also have a partnership with International ISOS, which is an organization that provides in the field, on the ground, and on the phone assistance for any sort of emergency situation, including emergency evacuation. And as a family traveling with us, you will actually have a membership card, and you will be able to access their database. Give them a call if you have any questions about health issues, vaccines, political unrest, anything you've heard in the news. You're welcome to reach out to them, and they're amazing. They have people all over the world that are the experts and are able to help you out with those questions. So it's another thing that we have that we offer to all of our students traveling with us. In addition to our teams within our organization, our training, all of our program leaders, all of our full-time staff have wilderness first responder medical certifications, which is, I like to explain it as basically one step below an EMT, but with an emphasis on wilderness medicine. So they're pretty highly medically trained. All of our staff, no matter if they're full-time or part-time, will have a minimum of first aid and CPR. And so it is a well-run operation where we know who has the medical certification that we need to put in place, especially for some of our more remote and rural programs. I am going to kind of jump back into the presentation, but again, if you have any questions, for those of you just joining us, feel free to type them in. We've got someone behind the scenes who'll be answering those questions. And forgive me if I'm rambling too fast. I'm happy to slow down and answer some questions for you guys. Hop back over here. Okay. So early enrollment, I mentioned right now we are currently in our early enrollment season. For alumni, this goes through mid-September. For new students, this goes through mid-October. And you can now get up to $1,500 off of our programs. And actually, if you are an alumnus tuning in, alumni get additional discounts, and you can check your email for that information. They have access to some special deals. So that's for alumni only. And then for new students, you'll notice if you go to the website, you'll have the original price, or the price that it will be moving forward. And then it has the discounted price for early enrollment for those of you who are on the ball, such as yourselves tuning in today. Up to $1,500. Again, the deadline for new students to enroll to utilize that discount is October 20th. And then something I really like to make noted is we realize it's a really early commitment. A lot of our families say it's so difficult with going back to school and summer and all that jazz to really think about summer 2020. And because we realize this, in addition to the discount for early enrollment, you have until January 15th, as long as you enroll by that deadline, to either change your program selection if you change your mind, change your travel dates if you have a better idea of the summer and think something else works a little bit better, or even cancel for a full refund, minus the enrollment fee for new students. So that's just something to note. We have a lot of students who can't make up their minds, and or they're trying to organize with a friend or something. And in that case, they'll choose kind of their best guess, and then they know they have the next several months to kind of lock it all down, which is kind of nice. It gives you peace of mind. If anything changes up until mid-January, you've got free range to kind of make changes or pull out if you need to. So a lot of questions right now as what is new for 2020. We always have some new and exciting programs. So the first thing I do want to mention is that we are introducing self-managed airfare. And this is definitely one of the most asked for benefits for families. We realize that a lot of families will have air miles that they want to use. And so this is something that it's only been possible for Costa Rica in the past. And this year we are allowing families to book their own flights to any destination. There are some benefits that I want to make sure that we point out as you're considering whether you want to do chaperone flights or self-managed, because we do absolutely still have our chaperone group flights. And personally, I think it's all part of the experience, and it really does give you some peace of mind, because as you can see on this graph here, or this table, here's some of the benefits of chaperone flights versus self-managed flights. Absolutely recommend if you want to take a quick screenshot of this, because there are some great benefits with traveling on our flights. And with our group contracts, it does give us greater control of the ticket. We have a whole flight team in place. And let me tell you, if this is your first time considering summer travel, every summer there are an unbelievable amount of flight delays or flight cancellations or changes. And with this system in place for our chaperone group flights, we do have airport staff at the ready if something happens. We have chaperones for each flight, in addition to the ground logistics, the people that will actually be collecting the students in country. So all of those people put in place really does give you as parents peace of mind that it's not on you if there's a flight delay or change, or your student misses the flight on a layover, where we won't necessarily have staff to assist the students. So just something to keep in mind if you are considering booking your own flights versus the chaperone group flights. Next to the cost of each program on our website, you'll see the program price, and then you'll see a link that says plus airfare. If you click that, that will go to the country's travel page, and it'll give you the cost of the group flight, the hub airports, the airlines that we use, all that jazz. So a bunch of information there for you about flights on the website. Another really wonderful page, and I'm actually going to hop out to our website and show you where this is, but if you want to take a look at this, this is our program types page, and you can actually find this on the website. I think this is a wonderful place to start if you're just starting your search for programs. We have a lot of people that come to us and say, like, where do I begin? You have 100 programs, that's amazing, that's a lot of diversity, but I don't know where to begin. And I think program types page, where you can actually search by category, if you definitely know you want to do a community service page, program, or just purely adventure, or a lot of times a balance between the two, you can click on these, and this will take you to an area on the website that will only show you that type of programs. And in addition to that, there's filters that you can even filter down even smaller if you have specific dates that you're looking for. So let me just hop out here, show you the main page. This is where, again, you're going to click this menu in the top right corner. And the program types is going to be right in the middle underneath the how it works section. So there's the travel guarantee information about scholarships, all of that jazz. Program types will take you right to that page. Similarly, you can look for only programs for middle school, high school, gap year, or college. Scroll down, you're going to find that same list of categories with descriptions of what you're looking at. Each of these are clickable links. If you keep scrolling, there's going to be some additional types of service. But let me just give you an example. If you want to see community service programs, which I highly recommend, once we get there, you'll see right here along the top is additional filters. So you can search by date, departing after or returning before, number of service hours, age, service type, which is those bottom ones. So you can actually drill down even farther if you know exactly what your student is interested in. And then just as a reminder, again, my team, Global Programs Advisors, we have a lot of experience. We're always happy to help the student kind of compare and contrast programs. So once you surf through the options and get an idea, and you maybe spot a few programs, we are happy to help compare and contrast and find what might be the best fit for your student. That's one of our favorite things to do. So we do have a lot of options. We understand that. So we want to give you all the resources you can to kind of like easily find exactly what you're looking for. And if you don't know what you're looking for, give us a call. We can ask you some questions and help you out with that. So hopping back over here, let's see. And now new programs. For those of you who tuned in just for this, we do have a brand new program in India and Nepal. Just to make a quick note, this is not the first time that Rustic Pathways is running programs in India and Nepal. We've actually run programs there for a long, long time. There was a brief hiatus when we took them off of the catalog, but due to popular demand, they are back. And personally, India is one of my true loves. If you've ever considered India and Nepal, they are pretty incredible, unique countries. And this is actually going to visit both countries and show you the contrast contrast between the two, and they're amazing. So definitely recommend looking into that program. We have a new program called Ultimate Asia, which actually takes some of the highlights of our other programs and incorporates some new highlights that come from our veteran staff in the area, that they think this is the type of program that, or this is the type of place that our more advanced student travelers needs to see when they visit Asia. So when you see the little tabs there that says adventure and rustic only, these are actually going to coincide with the tabs that you see on the website. On the website, they're clickable, and you can again see those programs by category. And rustic only means that this is a program that we are 100% confident we're the only ones that offer this experience. It's probably going to visit villages and communities that we have long-standing relationships with. It's going to visit some hidden gems that only our staff know about. And also, I think it's also a little bit more advanced, so probably not the most ideal program for first-time travelers, unless that traveler has a lot of outside travel experience and they're kind of more travel savvy and looking for something a little bit more advanced. But if that's you, click on that and you'll see some of our programs that are definitely geared towards next level experiences. We also have Ultimate Africa this year, and that is going to be in Tanzania, including the island of Zanzibar, in Kenya, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So this is another ultimate experience where you're going to see some of the most amazing parts of East Africa. You're gonna go to Victoria Falls, you're gonna go on safari. So definitely check out that itinerary. Personally, like I mentioned, I have a lot of experience in East Africa, and I think it is a once in a lifetime experience. So we have a lot of families where students will do a program in East Africa, and then the family will join them on safari, which is definitely an option. So keep that in mind. Ultimate Africa is going to be a crazy experience, as well as Ultimate Asia. We have a brand new Young Explorers program. This is Young Explorers New Orleans. Young Explorers, just to reiterate, is our middle school age program. So this is ideal for students ages 12 and 13. They're specifically designed and developed to help students who are not quite ready for the high school programs, help get their feet wet. They get a nice balance of service and adventure and culture and a little bit of everything to kind of help them launch into their high school programming for the following year. Or following 2 years. So definitely check out that. And we have a new program in Morocco for college students. This is Moroccan Wander, which is by far one of our most popular programs in Africa. Typically every summer it will sell out for high school. So this year we're now offering it for college students during the summer. And then we have the mystery trip. And I just want to give you a quick little description of what that entails, because it's always a little bit confusing for people. But we've had a mystery trip for the past couple of years. It's been super popular. It typically sells out as well. And that's about all I can tell you about it. Essentially, it is designed for the student who is ready for anything and they trust us. We understand this is not for everybody. So if you are looking for a specific program, like you definitely need community service hours, you definitely don't want to visit Thailand because you've already been there, something like that, this is not the trip for you, because this is a trip that absolutely does not cover the same ground as any of our other programs. Again, it's designed by veterans that in Rustic Pathways, Rustic Pathways veterans, I should say, who know the ins and outs of these places. They know the secrets, and they are going to take our students on a wild and crazy adventure. The idea is you literally show up at the airport and we will let you know where you're going, so you don't know until day one. And then every single day there'll be clues and puzzles and riddles to figure out at the beginning of the day what you're going to be doing. So it's a really, in my opinion, a really rare opportunity these days to kind of throw caution to the wind and have a true mystery adventure. Nowadays with the internet, you can Google and research everything. There's pictures of everything. And I think this is kind of like harkening back to the old days where you just bought a ticket and went and you had no idea where you're going, but at least this is in the safety and the confines of Rustic Pathways. You know, you still have all that support. It's going to be a safe, but yet exhilarating experience. So that's my little soapbox for the mystery trip. We do have a lot of questions about how programs connect. This is something pretty unique to Rustic Pathways. All of our programs are designed to connect. So within a given country, they begin and end on the same day in the same city. And on the website, you're going to notice that the dates overlap a little bit. And that is because it's including the flight time from the United States. International students don't have to worry about that. US students, if you're combining programs, you're going to want the dates to overlap just by a couple days, because you're already going to be in country and you'll take off the days, the flight days of the first program and the flight days of the second program, and they align exactly. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. But again, they're all designed to connect. And the reason being is because we have 1, 2, and 3-week program options. A lot of companies will have 6 and 8-week program options, and you're kind of locked into this whole schedule that you may or may not like some parts of it. This is actually so that we give our students the authority or the ability, the independence to design an itinerary that perfectly fits their interests. So maybe you want to do a week of language immersion, and then you want to do a week of service, working with kids to kind of use that language immersion, and then a week of adventure. So you can do 3 one-week programs in Costa Rica, for example. Boost your Spanish, work with kids in a service project, and then see some highlights of Costa Rica and go rafting and ziplining and all that. So that's the idea behind it. We're going to give you a couple examples. It's another great slide to take a quick screenshot of, because it gives you some examples of possible combinations. So here in Australia, program 1, program 2, and then you can kind of see across the board what might be some good possible combinations, given that there are service and adventure opportunities in every single one of our countries. Then again, we also have education opportunities. So some programs are going to be medical field related, or photography related, or language immersion. So you can really boost your experience by adding on one of those educational experiences in country and getting the most and maximizing your time there. I do often get the question, why on earth would you offer a 1-week program in Tanzania? And that is specifically because we find that it's a valuable experience, especially when added on to another program there. So a good example in Tanzania, which actually they do have right here, is climbing Kilimanjaro, which is an adventure program and an incredible experience for students in high school, and then adding on either a service opportunity or Serengeti Zanzibar, so you get the one of the 7 summits with a safari experience. So something to consider as you're looking at our programs, that you can mix and match to build the perfect experience. Here, if you have a little bit longer to stay, and especially if you're signing up during early enrollment and can take advantage of that discount, we have a couple 6-week country-specific recommendations. So another great one to kind of screenshot, because there's a lot of information there. And just pointing out, the 2 ultimates are designed to connect. So you can do Ultimate Asia with Ultimate Africa for a 6-week itinerary, and that's going to be an amazing summer. So I'm going to go back to the website real quick. And if you haven't seen already, I just want to give you a quick idea of how to enroll. It's a pretty quick little process. It's going to be a button right here that says Enroll in the top right corner again. And then it'll take you directly to the application. Right now, there's nothing you need. There's no referral codes or anything that you need for early enrollment. If you're a new student, it's all going to be automatic up until the 20th of October. And it's maybe a 6-page application, but it's pretty quick. If you don't have certain parts or bits of information like your passport number, you can skip that for now and give it to us later. If you do have any questions, of course, give us a call about the enrollment process. And then if you want to go back here, questions about payment, cancellation, anything like that is going to be found in our FAQs section right here, or how to enroll. There's also some additional information about payment. This year, we are now taking credit card, ACH bank transfer, which is essentially direct withdrawal from your account, which is the easiest, or personal check if you prefer. If you're an international student, we also accept wire transfers. And just as a quick note, we actually had students from more than 60 countries join us last year, which is a really fun dynamic of our programs as well. There are some companies that I know out there that do kind of draw from a particular part of the country, and Rustic Pathways has had students from almost every state, plus 60 plus different countries, so that's kind of fun. And then we're getting close to the end of our time, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time for questions and answers if you haven't already typed them in. Feel free to do so now. I do just want to point out that there are a bunch of different ways to contact us. There, you can use the chat feature on our website, which is manned usually between 9 to 9 Eastern, and then on Fridays 9 to 5 or so. You can give us a call. You can actually go to our Contact Us page on the website, and there's a link at the top of the page that allows you to schedule a call. You can access my team's calendar and choose a time that's convenient for you, and then we'll call you at that time. So do feel free to reach out at any time. That's exactly what we're here for. We do love speaking to families and trying to like hone in. And if you have any specific questions about dietary needs or allergies or or whether this program is right for your student or right for you if you're a student tuning in. That's what we're here for. So let's see, we do have a question. Oh, great question. What are some perfect examples of programs for first-time travelers? And I do want to, I don't think I showed this page. This is our community impact and student impact page. If you clicked into that link from the first page that I showed you, this Why Rustic Pathways. So again, just a great resource for you. And if you go to the program types page right here, there are going to be several different categories, and one of the categories I want to point out is this base house programs. Base house programs means properties that Rustic owns and operates, and these programs are going to stay primarily, if not entirely, at the base house. They're wonderful for first-time travelers because they do guarantee the student's going to have more comfortable amenities, so running water, seated toilets, electricity, all those kinds of things that are really nice for a first-time venture out of the United States. And we usually have a ton of staff at those base houses, and they're going to be less travel involved. So all of those reasons kind of make it a great first step for Rustic Pathways, or for first-time travelers. And a really good example of a program that runs out of our base house, and I'll just click into this. For example, Costa Rica, which is a nice closer destination if you're coming from the United States. Intro to Community Service, it's a 1-week program. Somehow I got to Thailand. Let me go back to Costa Rica. We do have Intro to Community Service in Thailand as well, which is a 2-week program. But if you're in Costa Rica, Intro to Community Service here is a 1-week program. It is designed to be an introduction to all different types of service. So if your student is just starting out and is like, I would like to do some service, but I'm not sure what kind, or maybe I want to do all of them. We have 6 to 8 different projects running concurrently throughout the summer, and students will actually get to participate in all of them. So they'll do a little bit of environmental service, a little bit of working with kids, a little bit of construction, and they just get a taste of everything. So that way they can really hone their interests. And the idea is after they come home, they can say, you know, I thought I wanted to work with kids, but actually I really loved getting my hands dirty and like seeing that wall be built or something like that. So that's a really nice introductory program. Also really popular. It allows up to, our programs range in the number of students that they allow between about 10 and 28 or so. This is a larger program simply because they do break the students up into different groups to do the different service projects morning and afternoon. But it is a lot of students that will come on this program and then get to do those variety of projects. That's a great one to start off with. And I'm gonna just, point out here, if you go to the menu and you go to our blog, we actually have a lot of really awesome blog posts. And I know blogs can be one way or the other, but these blogs actually are written by staff, by students, by parents, and by other featured writers. So it's worth a browse, kind of looking through here to look into whether or how our students have been affected by the programs, using travel as a tool for language development, for leadership. There's a bunch of different really interesting articles that I think are worth your time. And we do have some articles about how to choose a program for first-time travelers. So that is in there as well. One more note on that, since it's a great question, we do actually have one additional webinar. I'll also be hosting that if you haven't seen enough of my face yet. And it is specifically about how to choose a program. That is going to be coming up on the 5th of September, so in a couple weeks. And I would welcome you to tune into that one as well. Let me see if I have any other questions. All right, well, it looks, one more maybe. Okay, yeah, so here's a great question about age regulations for our programs. When you see an age requirement, so let me just go back to our main website. You'll see it listed right below the, you can go to all programs here. If you do want to search all programs and then use those filters, that's a great way to do that. My internet catches up. Yep, okay. So for example, right underneath here, right underneath the thumbnail, you can see the tags, you can see the cost of the program, that airfare link, and the age range, right? So age 22 and under, this is a college program, that's why. 14 to 18 is our average group age range, but some programs do have a higher age range. So 15 to 18, for example, on Climbing Killy. If your student is, if it's a 16 and up program, and you have a student who is almost 16, if the student turns the appropriate age within 60 days of the program, and we are pretty strict on that, so they should be the appropriate age. If it's within 60 days of the program, it's possible to make an exception, but then it will be based on the country's discretion. And I'll just say right now, it depends on quite a few different factors. So sometimes there'll be a partner that we're working with, a nonprofit organization or something that has set that minimum, and then we'll say, unfortunately, we cannot make this exception. Sometimes it's based on the current student demographic. So if it's a 15-year-old wanting to sign up for a 16 and up program, and everyone who signed up is 18 years old, we may not make that exception. So there's a bunch of different things that we look at just to make sure that it's the appropriate program for that student. And equally importantly, it's also fair to all the other students who enrolled. So there have been cases where, you know, a 12-year-old, for example, the parents say they're really super mature and he definitely wants to do a high school program with his friend. But when we have 18-year-olds signing up for that same program, we want to just make sure that the student waits a little bit longer until they're properly in that age range. So if it's close, then we could definitely look into that. And then one last question, do I have any personal favorite programs? This is a hard question because, like I said, I've been here for a while. I've led a lot of programs in a lot of different countries. I do tend to really skew towards the countries that I've lived in and spent a lot of time. So our programs in Tanzania, like I said, always near to my heart. We do have some really incredible cultural experiences there. Culture in the Creator, which happens to be on your screen right now, is a 2-week program where students actually get to spend an afternoon with the Hadzabe ethnic group or tribe. And it's like taking a step back in time. They're a truly unique, one of the few truly nomadic tribes left in the world. And if you get me talking, definitely give me a call because we do have some really unique experiences that you can't typically get as just a traveler or tourist to the country. So, but it really does, I would say at the end of the day, depend on the student. So something like our La Nina Andina Women's Education Program in Peru, if you have any interest in that topic, it is absolutely fascinating. The staff are incredible and really well-versed and will help your student grow within that, especially if it's something they want to study later in college. But if you don't have much interest in women's empowerment education initiatives, then it's probably not the best program for you. So first we'll start with what the student's interested in, and then we definitely have a program, in my opinion, for that student. Any last questions while I've got you on here? We're 3 minutes past the half hour, but I'm here if you need me. Like I said, our hours are typically 9 to 9 Eastern, and then on Friday, 9 to 5. So feel free to give us a contact or give us a call anytime. That is what we're here for. And thank you guys again for tuning in. You guys have a wonderful night.